Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Thanks again so much to everyone who's been listening. I'm really appreciating the support. So I'm probably going to be releasing now about every 2 weeks, and I may even take a bit of a break in May just to make some space for college work, and then I'll be back to it then in the summer. But thanks again so much to everyone who's been tuning in so far and liking and sharing my episodes, and it's much appreciated. So this week, I'm very excited to have on Carrie Mullane from Waterford. I actually know her because I met her in Cork School of Music at one of her end of year performances. She was a vocal student there. She's just graduated from the popular music degree and is currently studying the Masters in music. So I couldn't wait to find out what her plans are for the future, because she is going places. You should hear this girl sing. If you haven't listened to her or know who she is, you've got to check her out. Look at her YouTube page, or check her out on YouTube on the BAPM YouTube page, or her Instagram page as well. I'll put all the links in the bio. We started the chat talking about salt lamps and the Caddy Davy Animal Rescue Farm. She's really cool, actually. Like, I don't know if she's really gigging or anything anymore. Like, she was a few years ago. But she's kind of really into the like animal rescuing thing. Like she's always that like electric picnic and all. She's the one who has like the little farm area.
Oh my God, I
Have you ever
spent the
seen that
entire
electric
of Sunday of electric picnic in that
That's
little
hers,
farm
yeah.
area, like rolling in hay.
Yeah, that's her area. Like, and they're all her animals. Like, so I don't know if she
Oh,
got really into it, I guess, and
oh, that's
set
so
up her own little place,
cute.
which I think is so nice, isn't it?
Oh, I just remember I literally was there and it was the quietest, like nicest part to be at on the Sunday of EP. I had never been to a festival before, and I went the summer just before lockdown. And I remember the last day I was with my friend Katie, and we literally were just in there playing with puppies, playing with little lambs. The drinks were really cheap. We were able to get like €5 little drinks in like little plastic cups. Oh, it was so fun. Yeah,
I love
that's
it.
mad. Small world.
I know, isn't it? It's gas, like, because I didn't even recognize her. Like, it was only for my partner was like, that's Cathy Davy. I was like, I don't know, like, 'cause I wasn't like, hugely into her at, when she was gigging. Like, she was really good, like, but just wasn't really my thing. Have you ever played a festival yet?
No,
No,
never.
not yet.
No,
It's on the
hopefully.
goal.
I think when I started college, I think all of us, when you go into first year of music college, you're just like, I'm going to be a superstar in the next 6 months.
Yeah,
Everyone's going to know my name. I'm going to be playing EP. I'm going to be playing all this. It's like, no, it's not how it works at all. I'm like 5 years later, I'm like, yeah, maybe next year I'll start like going towards that kind of stuff.
I know. Like, there's so much competition now as well, and like,
Yeah.
I think like social media has been an amazing thing, but it also kind of makes it harder as well, because you can see what everyone's doing all the time.
Mm.
So it's kind of like, you can see that the crowd is bigger, and that makes it much harder to stand out, I think.
Yeah, I actually, for one of my modules for my master's at the moment, it's professional studies, and we have to do a presentation on different issues within the music industry. And so I actually picked TikTok because I feel like I was going to be able to give a good kind of unbiased, I suppose, view of it, and looked into all the research with the statistics and everything for it, because it really did just blow up over lockdown, and it's absolutely crazy. But people who wouldn't necessarily have many followers on Instagram, which is kind of the biggest, I think, platform that if you have like a load of followers, people go, oh, okay, they must be good. But with TikTok, you could have 200 followers on Instagram and you could end up with like 10K on TikTok. Like, it's just crazy. And you can reach across the whole globe. Like, there's no kind of cap where you can go reach. So I just think it's crazy. One of those things that when I did the presentation, there's different people had different opinions, and some people were like, no, it's just not something they'd be interested in. They'd prefer to kind of naturally get their own fan base. And one of the other things that came up, I suppose, was the lasting impact of the app, and whether your followers that will stick around, because you're scrolling through it and you might like a video, you might follow someone, you'll never see them again. So it's just crazy. I think social media has just changed the entire face of what music industry was 10 years ago, even 5 years ago.
Yeah, completely. I actually I don't know if it was at like a talk or if I read it online or saw it online, but they were talking about TikTok. It could have been a like CD Baby podcast or something, one of
Yeah.
those. They're talking about TikTok and like how like easily you can just become huge with a video going viral, and they were kind of talking about like the algorithms, and like at the minute they don't have like the algorithm is really like user friendly, but like the likes of pretty much all the other apps kind of they changed their algorithm, so they make it really difficult for people to actually um get their posts and their content seen.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've noticed,
100%.
but I've noticed like on I mainly use Instagram, but I have it connected to Facebook, and like whatever I post on Instagram goes on to Facebook as well, just for handiness sake. But
Yeah.
like I've noticed like especially on Facebook more so, but there's definitely been a huge drop in the amount of people who like see my posts,
Hmm.
which is mad.
Yeah,
I don't
there's
know
like,
why like.
I think there's a post that was going around. I saw a good few people share it. But Instagram's new algorithm, the way they do it is if people save your picture is actually like the top thing that
Yeah.
you need people to do, which is like, I never save pictures on Instagram. It's not something I would ever do. I like pictures, or posts. I might put them up on my story or send it to someone, but I would never save it. And that's how you get it seen by more people, the more saves you get, which is crazy.
You'll probably find though that like somebody from the company put that post out to get people to use that feature. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Do you know, it
Someone
literally,
probably.
you just never know. Like, it's so easy to just believe everything you see and go with it, thinking this could help. But yeah, it's
Well,
just
at the
mad.
end of the day, like for me, it's about like the interaction or like that you
Hmm.
get from your followers. Like how many, like sometimes you'll see people with like 10,000 followers, and you look at their posts and like about like, you look at like how many people are commenting and how many people are liking their posts, and it doesn't always quite match up, and you kind of
Yeah,
wonder what that's about, like. But it's not about how many followers you have. It's For
yeah.
me, it's more about it's quality over quantity, really. It's like the quality of the relationship you have with your followers as opposed
Yeah.
to how many followers you have.
I think that's something that I'm from Waterford, and I suppose when I was a teenager, Instagram kind of just came around. So everyone was on it. We all posted on a Sunday, and you'd all get your 200, 300 likes on a picture because you'd all post within the same 10 minutes.
Mm.
And like, I moved out of Waterford in 2016 to Cork, and I hadn't been back. I didn't really speak to many people that I would have been friends with when I was younger or went around with when I was a teenager. And I still followed them. And then it got to a point where I was like, I don't want to see, like, I don't care about seeing all these people going out or things they're doing because I haven't spoke to them in 10 years. And I started unfollowing people. And then I noticed even more people were unfollowing me the more I posted about music. And it was
Oh,
like, now, because there was points where I was like, well, I just delete my Instagram, I just make a new one because I just needed like fresh start. I had like 2,500 followers, and most of them, like, I was still only getting like 150 likes on pictures and posts. So it wasn't, the people who were following me didn't care about what I was doing.
yeah.
So I unfollowed a lot of people. Do you know the way they brought in a new feature where you can make people unfollow you?
Wait, what is that?
You can actually get people. So if someone, like, if a bot is following you, you can actually make them unfollow you. So I
No,
started going through my
I
Instagram
never
and
heard about
like
that.
making these accounts that I didn't want following me unfollow me. Yeah.
Wait, okay, explain that because I'm a bit confused. So you have
So
to.
if you go onto like their page
Yeah.
and it'll say like following or whatever, you can click to make them unfollow you so they won't follow you anymore.
Oh, is that like blocking them?
No, they won't be blocked at all. They won't follow you. So you can literally be like, oh, you don't follow me. Oh, you must have unfollowed me at some point, maybe.
I didn't see that feature, but a feature I have started using recently is the mute feature.
I use it all the time.
Yeah, I only discovered it
All
a
the
couple of
time.
weeks ago. And I basically like I just the reason why I started using it was mainly because like with the route I've taken the last few years with like going into all the, you know, vocal pedagogy stuff and the voice science stuff, and like I'm meeting so many other people who are doing the same things I'm doing, like we're all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I just found that like seeing them, like so much content from so many like people who are doing similar things was a bit overwhelming and a bit like discouraging. So I'm like, oh, if they posted that now, I can't post it. And I kind of was like doubting myself all the time. So like I just discovered the mute feature, and I was like, this is brilliant because I can still follow them and give them my support in some way, and I can go on their page and like a picture if I want to, but at least I'm not bombarded with content.
I was on Twitter for like the last like 10 years. It was like one of the first social media apps I got.
Oh really?
And yeah, my sister made me an account when I was literally like 11 or 12. I got Twitter when it just first came out, and I was following so many people, and when you're following over 2,000 people on a social media, and then with Twitter it shows so many different tweets from all different like places, and if someone you know has liked it, it'll pop up. And it just got to a point where I actually just kept deleting the app because I was like, I can't mentally, emotionally handle everything that was being put up on it. And I kept deleting the app, and I just was like, got to a point there, I think it's about a month ago, where I was like, I'm just going to delete the Twitter account. I'm just going to make a new one. And I did. And now I follow like 200 people, and they're all like musicians. It's all stuff that like I actually can engage with and I can enjoy, and definitely a much better, now when I open the app, I'm not dreading what I'm going to read. It's a much more enjoyable experience. I think that's kind of in this new society where we're all, literally everything is at our fingertips. I think it's really important to be able to scroll through these things and switch off almost.
I read online in my research that you actually grew up in a very musical family, and I'm wondering, what was that like for you, and what kind of music were your family into?
So I suppose my dad, Tom Mullane, he's Waterford born and bred, and he would have started playing guitar when he was, I don't know, he says it was about 40 or 45 years ago. I said that, so I was like 40. But he would have started playing guitar about 40 years ago. And when I think I was about 10, he was teaching guitar. He just taught a couple of lessons from home. And there was 3 boys in the class, and they just kept being really bold. So he said, will you come in to the guitar class, and you can just sit there and hold the guitar. You don't even have to play. Just if you're there, they might behave a bit more. And they did, obviously, because 10-year-old boys, when a girl is put in the room, of course, they're either going to try show off or they're going to be good. And from there, so I started learning the guitar with him. And when I got to about 15, we started teaching together. So I was actually, because he didn't know all, like my dad is 69 now, so he didn't know all the new pop songs that were coming out that everybody wanted to do. So 15-year-old me there with my guitar and my couple of chords was like, okay, yeah, let's play this Justin Bieber one or Selena Gomez. Oh, Selena. So started teaching with my dad. And I suppose his main influences, like he was very folk. So that's kind of he still plays. He does a session. They've been doing it online since the lockdown. Every Tuesday they have a Facebook group, Jordan's Bar in Waterford, and he puts up a little cover every.
I've come across that.
Yeah, and so they just do, like, people just upload singing videos or guitar, whatever. So he every Tuesday I have to give him a hand recording it and uploading it, but mostly folk from him. My mom doesn't sing, doesn't play any instruments, but she loves musical theatre. So that's kind of where I got that from. So I got kind of folk and I suppose towards pop from my dad, and then musical theatre from my mom. She would have done shows when she was younger, but my earliest memories would have been driving up to Tipperary to see my auntie, listening to the Les Mis 10th anniversary in the car, and I knew every single word. And I was like 8 years old, and I was like, I want to be Eponine, I want to be in Les Mis. I was like, I'll be Gavroche if I have to, I'll take any of them. But I suppose that's kind of where we were always just surrounded by music at home. We were told we could do piano lessons. There was violins. We never got lessons, but we tried to play them. My sister like picked up the cello and the flute, and I kind of went towards guitar, piano, ukulele. So,
Wow.
and yeah, and then my sister went on to study classical music in college.
Where did she go?
WIT.
Which is Waterford, yeah.
Yeah. So she did classical singing in Waterford, and then I went on to do pop. So we're very, very different styles. We kind of went the complete opposite ways, I suppose, with it.
Wow. Yeah. And where did she get her classical influence from, do you think?
She always loved choirs. So Rebecca was always going into the choirs. I think I was just too nervous to be around so many people. When I was in school, I just remember this so well. I was in 3rd class and we auditioned for the nativity play or whatever it was. And we all had to sing 2 lines of the song to get the parts. And it was just the audition process. And I was so nervous. My voice croaked on the high note. And I genuinely did not sing for 2 years. I didn't sing at all. I was so embarrassed. When we did school choir and everything, they were like, okay, just like sing quietly, everybody. And so I just kind of didn't sing for years. And it wasn't really until about 6th class maybe, and we did auditions again for Cinderella and got up and sang, and I got Cinderella, and that kind of was the turning point of, wow, oh, okay, maybe I should go into singing. Maybe this wasn't something I should have been not doing all this time. And then, I suppose I'm just going on now about how I got into everything, I suppose.
Yeah, it's great to hear. I was just going to ask a couple of things. One, I saw you posting, or I was on your page, I don't know if you posted it recently or when it was one of your more recent posts. I think it looked like you were playing Eponine in the picture. Did you post that recently?
Yes.
And the reason why I spotted it was because I actually played Eponine as well.
No way!
Yeah, I was in like 5th or 6th year in school.
Same, yeah. I was in I think I was in 6th.
That's gas, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just
someone else as well that I seen, and I was like, oh, I did that too. And I was like, it's really funny because when you meet other singers and talk to other singers, like you end up having almost like parallel lives in a way. I know. It's really like in playing like similar roles and stuff.
Yeah. I was so when I went into 1st year of school, I joined the David Hennessy Junior Stage School, and from there we did 2 shows a year. So every year, so 2 full ones. I did Honk the 1st year, which is about the ugly duckling.
Okay.
And my first part was Penny the Swan, and I was just this little tiny swan. I was 13, I think. I still had like I remember the audition, I had this big Minnie Mouse jumper that I got in Disneyland the year before, and I was wearing my little 3/4 length jeans, and I had my hair slicked back in a greasy ponytail. It was so bad. And got the part. I didn't think I would, and went on to play different roles like Ariel, the Little Mermaid, and I played the narrator in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And from there I joined the Southeastern Theatre Group, which is also run by David Hennessy.
Okay.
And that's where I got to play Eponine in Les Mis. I think it was 2015. Oh, Les Mis, it's just like, do you know, when you're growing up and you think, oh, musical theatre, and you're kind of introduced to like Phantom, Les Mis stuff. So you think, oh, that's fab. As you get older and you're surrounded by more people who love musical theatre, everyone thinks it's lame to like something like Les Mis. They all just think, why would you like that when you could go like Kinky Boots, or everybody's talking about Jamie or something? Yeah, Heather's Waitress. But I'd say Les Mis is just one that I'll just always have my heart. I'll always go back to it. It's just one of my favourite musicals of all time.
It's amazing. It was really, really amazing. Like when we did it, it was what we used to team up with the boys' school across the road and do musicals. We used to like go. Like one year the girls' school would host it, and the next year the boys' school would host it. So the boys' school was hosting it this year. And I just remember it was just one of the most amazing, heartfelt, just top quality show I've ever partaken in a musical theatre sense. Like it was just, I'll never forget it.
Yeah. I just think it's fab. I got to do it in 2011, and we actually did it 3 times. So we did it twice, full runs of the show. And I was onlooker number 3. I got to sing 2 lines, and I was delighted with myself to be in the ensemble. I was like 13 or 12, and I just loved it. And then we went and we entered the Waterford International Festival of Light Opera. Very long name. And that was in 2012, I think. And we put Les Mis in it. So we got to do just kind of a couple of bits from the show. And we won that year. And that was kind of incredible.
When I kind of first came across you, it was actually through your end of semester gig in fourth year in Cork School of Music. And I just was blown away.
Thank you.
Like, you were all amazing, but yourself and what's the other girl's name?
The girl singing with me.
I think she was singing with you, and she did rapping and stuff as well. Keelan.
Oh no, Keelan wasn't in my band, but
she
Keelan as well.
I can't remember. Yeah, but the two in particular, like I just thought you were amazing. You were so good, and I was like, this is it. This is what it's going to be like in the fourth year. It's amazing. But then I think you did was it a specialised performance or something that you did, and you did some musical theatre songs as well, right? So you did like pop and musical theatre, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, kind of, if you could tell us a little bit about the specialised pop module, and like how does that differ to the other ones?
So with the specialised, so in CSM we get the option to do specialised. You have to apply for it and put in a proposal, and it's basically putting on a 40-minute to 50-minute concert, and it has to kind of follow a theme or something like that. So I would have done 4 of them, but I only got to do 3 just because of the pandemic. So my first 2, I did kind of female artists that I really enjoyed. So I had like Ariana Grande, Lana Del Rey. I had a bit of Georgia Smith in there, things like that. So those 2 were great and all, but I felt like I wanted more from it. I just kind of, especially my second one, I just felt it was so not me. I'd picked these songs, I'd picked everything, picked the band, but I was still like, this isn't me. This doesn't feel right. And the next year I went on and I got David Hayes as my teacher. They made a mistake because I'd applied for performance development to do musical theatre, and they just made a mistake, and they gave me Dave for my singing teacher. Dave obviously is a very, very well-established musical director. So, of course, to him, like, that wasn't going to be a big issue. It's just that he was in the college as a piano teacher. But had the best year with Dave. We went on and did a musical theatre performance for my 3rd specialised. And I kind of tried to make it still a little bit poppy. So I kind of had a couple of different things in it. I went with the main theme was parts that I'll never play. Or I never got. It was
kind of sad, actually.
I know, but it was kind of, I felt like it was like closing a chapter on like all the, when you audition for a show and you don't get the part you want, you're angry and you're upset and you feel hurt and you feel like, what did I do wrong? And you get really like into this like self-deprecating feeling of, I must be this big issue. But I think when you get older, you realize you just weren't right on the day, or maybe that other person just was better, and that's okay. It's all right for someone else to be better than you. You kind of, sometimes you give yourself a reality check and remember, just because you think you're great all the time doesn't mean that you're perfect for the role that you want. And you could still be a super talented person, but it doesn't mean that, like, if I went up for a part, it doesn't mean that I fit that role, or that I would work in that character. And for some of them, like, I did Grease twice. I auditioned for Rizzo both times, and I got Sandy both times. And that's not something to be like upset about, because I got Sandy, and that's like incredible. But it's just the fact, I just still think it's so funny. I went for Rizzo both times and got Sandy.
Just you like the character better?
I just loved There Are Worse Things I Could Do. I just wanted to sing it. But I did love playing Sandy, and it definitely was a much better fit. And when you go on to actually do the show, something clicks in your head and you go, I can't imagine me doing this part. This person's perfect for it. And it, like, you know, that kind of way.
What the vision
was.
was.
Exactly. And so I think that performance for me, it was just showing, I suppose, to myself. I didn't need to prove it to anyone, but just to myself that no, I still can sing these songs. I can give them the emotion they need and the conviction they need. But at the time, I just wasn't suited, or maybe I never will be for certain songs. And so, like, some of them I put in, and I was kind of like, I was really, really dragging it out. Like, I was like, this show will probably never come to Ireland, so that's probably why I'll never get to play the part. So I'm just going to sing this song I really like. Do you know, that kind of way? Like, only some of them were really ones I'd never play.
I get
but,
you,
so I really enjoyed that performance. So I loved how everything worked out, and I'd really challenged myself. I did all the arrangements and the charts and stuff, and my band were fantastic. It was my first time getting to work with Daniel Murphy really closely, and he's just an incredible piano player, composer, and just arranger. Like, he was literally...
Is he a student or a lecturer? I actually don't know.
He was a student. He's graduated. He was the year above me. He just recently won a big competition, a composition competition in CSM, and got to record his original work with the RTE Concert Orchestra.
Wow, right.
So he's just absolutely incredible. So that was probably the highlight of doing it, to be honest, was getting to work with him.
You did you get to pick your own band?
Yeah.
So you got to pick your own band, and can they be from any year, or can they be from outside the college even?
They can be anyone you want. So, like, I kind of went, the first 2 years I did it, I picked friends. I picked people who I was with, I knew I was comfortable with, because I felt it would make being on stage less stressful, less daunting. If I turned to someone and I knew they were my friend, they'd give me a supportive look. But as time went on, I realized I can't just be looking at friends. You kind of do need to branch out a little bit and try and make new connections and stuff like that. So I got to pick my whole band, but it took a lot of, like, thinking of who I could get and pros and cons of different people. And we're surrounded by such a talented amount of bass players, drummers, guitar players. It was so difficult to pick. And especially because I was doing musical theatre, it's something that there's no point in me getting a funk drummer if I'm going to have them playing something completely different to what they're usually doing. But got to pick my whole band, and then did the performance in the recording studio in CSM. And you were there, weren't you? You came. Yeah, I remember, because I remember so well the day you texted me to say, like, well done after the gig.
Yeah.
And I think I texted you back saying, like, your face, I looked at you at one point and you were literally cheering me on so much that it was so lovely, because I didn't know who you were. I hadn't a clue. And so seeing someone actually really, like, vibing with you and enjoying it. And that set, when I did that ensemble gig, I think I picked most of the songs. Me and Maeve, the other girl singing, we picked all of the songs, and we just wanted it to be like pop bangers, one after the other. And, like, we got to do Billie Eilish and medley it in with a song from Victorious, which we would have, like, watched growing up. And so just getting that feedback was, like, so nice. Just kind of especially when you're on stage. But I remember when you texted me after and you sent me the video of me singing Gave It Away, Jason's song, Ariana Grande. And that song is the one that was most stressful, because she hits so many high notes and they're just one after the other. And so just even seeing back that video, I was like, oh, okay, that actually went really well. That was actually good. So that was my first. I think I messaged you then to be like, oh, I have this concert on if you want to come see it.
I honestly can't remember, but I do remember that exchange where I think I saw you. Was it in 2 gigs I was at? Was it 2 or just the one? I can't remember.
I've no idea. My memory is so bad, especially anything that happened just before this pandemic. I'm like,
I know. Do you know what? I'm so glad I went to see those gigs. Because it kind of just got me really excited about the course. And, you know, I was in first year of the course, I think, when I went to that. So, you know, I just was like, this is this is it, like this is amazing, like getting
Yeah.
to work with, you know, amazing musicians, you know, everyone's so passionate, and getting to like kind of, I suppose, tailor the gig to yourself as well for the
Yeah.
specialized ones, which I think is really, really nice.
Hmm.
Did you find it like difficult to get people to be on board with what you wanted to do, or do people kind of have an open mindset about playing different musical genres?
I think like throughout the whole degree, there's definitely been times where heads have clashed and people have fallen out over song choices or just even rehearsals and things that are going on. I think being in a college environment where some people are fresh out of leaving cert and go drinking and partying, and then they come in hungover the next day and we've rehearsal at 9 a.m. or something. And then there's someone who's in their 40s and they're coming back, and it's an absolutely incredible thing. I think any master's student, mature student that comes back in, it's absolutely incredible to do. I became really, really good friends with one of the mature students in my year, Marion, and she's literally my best friend now.
She's amazing.
Marion,
like person that was like, she rapped as well, actually.
Yeah,
I was just blown away. She was amazing. Yeah,
and so just, I think in a lot of ways, and it wasn't Marion, but in a lot of ways, I think at different points, like your heads just can clash over things because everyone's living different lives, and you're trying to, some bands would want 4 rehearsals a week, and some will be like, oh, we'll just practice the hour before the class. And that works for some people, it doesn't for others. And I think that causes a lot of trouble sometimes. But I think by the time we got to 4th year, everyone knew each other at this point. Everyone kind of knew, don't push this person's buttons, or kind of leave that go with them because they have this going on. And it kind of just made the environment a lot nicer. So when you were giving songs and you're suggesting things, everyone was a lot more open to trying it, or open to being like, look, it's a great idea, but maybe if we go more this way. Whereas before, in like first year, people are like, I want to do this song and I don't care what you say about it, or no way, we're not doing that song. I was always afraid to suggest anything because I loved musical theatre, I loved Demi Lovato, I loved all like that kind of stuff. And then I was like putting bands and people who were like, no, not a chance.
What were those other people kind of into? What music were they into?
I just remember in second year, and we were doing a gig, and it was rock semester, so we'd do some stuff. And I suppose the rock stuff I was going for, and it's probably because in my vocal lessons we were going more towards kind of like You and I, Lady Gaga, bit of Kelly Clarkson in there and things like that. So it wasn't necessarily rock. It was pop rock, and I do enjoy pop rock, but with the band I was in, we kind of all said that we ended up doing dad rock. So it's like,
what would dad rock be?
It was just like, you know, like a dad would be rocking to it, and then I swear I've blocked so much from my memory at this point, because there's just not even that I've blocked it. It's just so easy to forget everything when you're doing new songs every single week for ensemble, for vocal sectionals, for your singing lesson. You're learning like 4 or 5 songs a week for 4 years. So it's really hard to remember everything. But I remember that concert I did Piece of My Heart. I loved it too, and that was kind of my only like big moment in the set. I think it was when you could only do like 3 or 4 songs, and so I think that was the only year that I like didn't make any suggestions at all. Like I just was like, I'm just gonna go with whatever you do.
Did someone suggest that for you?
Yeah, someone else said it. I think it was the drummer. I think the drummer said it. They were like, oh, she'll sound great doing it. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm happy with whatever.
I'm actually thinking of doing like if I end up doing the specialized, I'm thinking of doing like Women of Rock or something, like doing, you know, like geez, my mind's gone blank now, like Beth Hart and Janis Joplin, all those.
Amazing.
Like,
we did music of the 80s. It's like a history of music of the 80s for a module in 4th year with Trish Rooney. And I looked into a lot of the female artists that would have been around in the 80s, and like Hart, and even what's her name? Well, I'm going blank now too.
Barracuda and
I'm literally going blank on everyone, but I just find it so...
I always forget names of people and songs and
I'm literally the worst for names, but I think with that, I would have loved to have done that module in like first year. I wouldn't have been able to academically. It's quite a challenging module to do, but just so I could have like learned more about different artists that I just kind of, I feel I kept myself in my box for way too long. I should have been a bit more open to different artists and things that I wasn't necessarily used to. Like I didn't know of them, or I just wasn't familiar with them. I think that would have made like a massive difference. But are you looking forward to hopefully doing specialised?
Well, we'll see. It's just I've heard you have to have quite good like strong music theory for it. So I don't know if my music theory will be as strong enough.
Yeah,
so I don't know if I'll end up doing it or not. But
I think it goes by your PIS grade, so your singing lesson grade, and then ensemble and vocal sectionals. I think that's the main thing. I think you have to get really high in those.
Okay, well if it's those, there I'll be fine.
You're like, I'm fine.
We'll see. Like, you know, there's so many like really technically brilliant singers as well in the year, you know, like, so I don't know, I just don't know. It depends on kind of who applies, I suppose, and what they're looking for. I do like the idea of tailoring the gig more, do you know?
It's a great way as well to put yourself out there. Just even having other people see your name. Now suddenly you have a poster in the building and someone will go, oh, that sounds cool. And they might message you to do a gig for them at some point, or they might come see you at your next gig. I made a lot of friends through the specialised. I actually, when I did my first 2 pop ones, I had done loads of different, myself and Keelan, mostly, we both did backing vocals for a load of the gigs. I think in my second semester of third year, I was on 8 of them in the week. So literally, I was on 8 specialised, singing backing vocals. God. It was like one after the other. I had like a suitcase with different clothes, and I was like, okay, if I wear this top and these pants, and then I can just put a shirt over that top for the next one, so it looks different. Wow. But I actually really enjoyed doing the backing vocals way more than I prefer, like, than my own gig.
Wow.
I actually loved. I love that feeling of like for Keelan's gig, I was with Christiana Underwood and Leah Ahern.
Oh yeah.
And so it was myself, Leah and Christiana, and we just became this like backing vocal like
trio kind of.
Oh my God, we just had the time of our life. We were coming up with choreo on stage, and we were like literally like moving our hands, doing everything, and we were just doing it in sync. We were just feeling it, like with vibing with each other, and it just made Keelan's gig so much fun. And like it made it fun for her, it was fun for us. And like I said earlier, like it's just comfortable seeing someone having fun with you on stage, just makes it like so enjoyable. And then I did loads of them. So even just by doing that, you kind of get yourself out there, and suddenly the next year everyone's asking you to sing backing vocals and come on and do something for their gig, or sing a lead for one of the songs. A lot of the drummers and guitar players will get people to sing lead for their gigs. But I think those really opened a lot of doors to kind of be seen by different people. I thought they were really, really great.
Very good. And what do you think is the most valuable thing about doing the degree in CSM? What was the biggest takeaway for you?
I think like connections, and not even in like necessarily an industry way, but after 4th year, I really, really settled with who people I would love to work with in the future, but are also some of my closest friends. And I think that was one of the best things, because I've loads of projects happening now that are going to be coming out in the next while that I don't think I can talk about right now. But I have a few things coming up, and none of that would have been possible. It took the full 4 years. And that's one thing as well. If anyone is in the degree or going into the degree, give it its time. There's so many times where you'll want to drop out. I've wanted to drop out many times. I nearly did.
I'm hating it this semester.
I'm
loving it, but I'm hating it.
Yeah, and that's just the thing. I remember when I got accepted into the course, I actually withdrew my place. before it started. Yeah, I withdrew. I was going to go do languages in UCC.
No way.
Yeah, I wasn't going to do it at all. And then my third choice was nursing in Waterford. So I could have been on a completely different path.
Wow.
And it was actually Rocky rang and was like, look, it's kind of, she's already accepted the place. So withdrawing will be kind of a process. She might be able to get accepted anywhere straight away. You may as well just come to the open day, the orientation day, and just see how things go. I came and there wasn't even a chance to chat anyone. They gave me my student card and that was just it. I was I was a student then. I was like, okay, I'm here. But I think like there's so many times when you want to drop out and you want to leave. But if you just stick with it, I did the modules that people go for, the modules that they're like, oh, this is easy or this will get you a first. Go for the ones that you think are going to benefit your career.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do that at first, and then got to fourth year and I did songwriting, I did the history, and that opened me up to so many new artists that I could listen to and explore. And even with songwriting, it was a pop songwriting like course module, but we studied musical theatre because all the musical theatre songwriters were so influential at the time for pop music in like the 1930s and 40s. And so most of the songs that I was shown in that songwriting class are actually in my master's performance now this year.
Wow.
So it just completely opened me up to so many things I'd never known.
Wow.
Yeah, I think as well, just taking as much as I could, like learning as much as I could. I learned about backing vocals. I learned about charting vocals, making arrangements for strings. Even the tech side, just being able to record yourself at home. I think I'm lucky that we did that in college, because now that we have to do it at home, it's a lot easier.
100%. Like I was the same. Like sure, I'm in my 30s now. Like, and for years I always just left it up to someone else to record me. Do you know? I always had to rely on someone else. So like, I always wanted to kind of learn to do it myself, but just I don't know why. I was like just couldn't do it. And then when I came to college and there was the module, and I was like, this is amazing, because now you know, I mean, I'm not like a professional sound engineer, but like, I can record basic demos and stuff like that. It's just, I think for singers especially, I know for a long time, I think I put myself in the box of being the singer, do you know, and as in not anything else. But like, I think it's really important for singers to like equip themselves and kind of be as self-sustainable as possible, like being able to record yourself, even if it's basic demos and stuff, you know, learn to play an accompanying instrument, like do a songwriting if you're into that side of things. I think it's very important.
I think I 100% agree. 100%. I think it's really easy, especially when you start gigging and you're I was the lead singer of a few wedding bands over the course of being in college. And in some of the bands you would feel that you arrive, they're kind of like, oh, don't bother with setting up the gear, you won't really understand, just leave it, it's fine, we'll do it. So you just arrive, you're like, okay, I'll go put my makeup on and put on my nice dress, and then you come out, you do the show, and then you leave. So it's really easy to start feeling like you're just a singer. And then I went into a band and they were like, yeah, help with the gear, help bring in those now and put up the mic. So I learned about like the desks and all that, and that kind of helped me then at home with recording, because I was like, oh yeah, I knew he did it this way to try get that right for my vocal and stuff. So I think it's really easy to just end up thinking I'm just a singer, and then try to like have another instrument. So important. I think I can't even say that I'm the best at accompanying myself, but as long as you can play a couple of chords, I think that's all you need. Even for making demos, I was kind of doing them recently, and I was sending them off and being like, oh look, I don't know if these demos are okay, they're very rough, and they're like, these are actually like perfect. It's a great like idea of where things are going, and it just kind of helps then for everything you want to do for the future.
100%. Because like even like we're doing a bit of beat making and stuff this semester with Carl, and it's just so handy to like be able to like layer up different parts, because one thing I struggled with as a songwriter was having an idea for a song in my head and having a vision for how it would sound aesthetically, but not being able to translate that to my band, because all I could play was like really basic chords on the piano. So all they could hear was my voice singing over piano, and all they could hear was like ballad, or like it was like a piano song to them, or do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like they couldn't hear it as what I wanted to hear, but being able to like learn the basics of like building up tracks that way, even if it's just really rough demo, you could at least aesthetically show a band. You can sell it better to potential band members, which I think is so beneficial.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. When we did the beat making, it was just the bane of my life at the time. I just had no interest and I found it so difficult. And like every day I'd be like going to my friend Marius and I'd be like, can you please help me do this? I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I go into tutorial and I'd be like, Carol, it's half done. I attempted, I couldn't get it. And he'd be like, okay. And it'd be better that I attempted and didn't do it right than get someone else to do it properly and not learn. But once we got into like second semester of fourth year, we kind of had to do a little bit more with it. And it was quite different and it was really interesting. And I started getting into it then. I was like, why didn't I just do this before? It's actually such a like a valuable tool to be able to use and have. So it's one of those things that you can constantly be trying to learn and get better with.
100%. And I think a lot of the time we just put off doing things. We put off really investing in it because I think we're kind of afraid to fail.
Yes.
You know, I think we're like afraid to fail, so we don't put our all into it. But like once you actually put a bit of time and get over your ego, you're like, this is so liberating. It's like it feels really good to like be able to create in that way. And you're a songwriter as well, and I know you don't have any music released yet.
Yes.
I know you did some work with were you in the band 1,000 Beasts, or were you like sessioning with them, or kind of how was that relationship working?
So 1,000 Beasts is Cian Sweeney, so he's like the producer and he collaborates with lots of different people. So I did a collaboration with him in 2019, so nearly 2 years ago now, and I just sang on a track. I didn't actually write it or anything. He just asked me to sing on a track. So that was great. And that's kind of where my relationship with him started. Mm-hmm. And then last year, just before the lockdown, literally just before, we started doing live gigs. And I'm not like necessarily part of 1,000 Beasts. We're more like session musicians for the band.
Like guest artists.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm just one of the singers for his live gigs. He has a couple of others, and had we been able to continue gigging, I'm sure like the other girls would have done a few. I think it was more just I was available at the time. We did one, it was the 2nd of March, so it was literally just a week before the lockdown. We went up to Lost Lane, but it's really cool.
And does he have any plans for the releases? Or
so he put out an EP just a couple of months ago, and it was just so good. The collabs he gets, they're just amazing. A lot of them are upcoming Irish artists, like Lenny and things like that. So absolutely fab. And he's got a couple more songs coming out, I'm pretty sure, very soon. He posted something, a little teaser, I think, on his Instagram recently. So he's definitely one to go follow, 1,000 Beasts. And so he's just fab. He's such a great producer to work with, and hopefully I'll get to work with him again in the future.
Have you done much like kind of session work as a vocalist over the last few years? I know you've been pretty immersed in college, but like, you know, you might have been doing jobs in between.
No, it was something I was really interested in, but I think when you're in the degree that we're in, and I was teaching on the side as well, so that was my job, and then I was gigging on top of it. You just don't have time to really think about other things when you're doing a wedding band gig and you're maybe doing 2 or 3 gigs a week and then teaching on the days off, and college just absolutely consumes your life. It really did. And I think it wasn't until I started to realize it didn't need to. It was able to be a lot less intense. I was just making it too intense. Yeah.
What would you say to like someone who would say that like the pop degrees is not a real degree?
I don't know where that idea would come from. I get that people have this idea that a classical degree is legit. It's real. It's something that's been around for decades, so it must be better. But in the pop degree, we learn all about music theory. You learn everything you can. You have to be completely competent in your instrument, you have to know, and that's we do, especially as a vocalist, we learn so much about vocal health and even just the function behind why your voice does what it does. And then you learn other instruments. So, and then you do all these just different modules that, like, you can take classical modules if you want, and some people do, but people still say, oh, it's still not a degree though, a real one. But I don't know, it's a 4-year BA and it's now a university. So
I know,
I think
it's crazy.
I think hopefully, like, people just have this mindset that an IT isn't as good as university, and I don't get that either.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, I think we kind of picked the worst thing really to get a BA in an IT, because apparently that's just not a qualification.
But it's a university now, so it's all...
But it's university now, so. But I don't know. I think if people say that, like, the proof is just in the graduates that come out of it and how well people are doing who leave.
Yeah.
And most people who I know who leave, they do get to do something within music, so it's not a dead end degree, which is what I think people don't even necessarily think it's not a degree. I think they more think it's a dead end degree, because people think music isn't a career.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the main issues. But seeing the amount of people come out of it and they get teaching jobs and they love it, or they're session singers or session musicians, they're gigging, well, when we can gig, 4 or 5 days a week, and they're making original bands and original music. It's hard to say that it's not like a career, and it's not a degree that helps get you there, do you know?
What? So you mentioned you did the songwriting module in 4th year, I think it was, and I know that you are a songwriter, so tell us what your plans for the future are, and like, how long have you been songwriting? Was college kind of the first introduction to songwriting, or had you been writing a longer time?
So I actually started writing when I was about 15. That was kind of when I started playing the piano. I had been taking classical lessons and doing all the grades, and I just got to a point. I had a great teacher, Jean Upton from Waterford, and she was fabulous, but I just didn't like classical and I didn't want to do the grades anymore. So she started showing me how to play pop music, and was teaching me how to read the sheet music so that I could play. And it was fab. I absolutely loved it. And that kind of gave me the tools to even just be able to play 4 chords and do different inversions and play a song and support myself while I was doing it. And I started writing then. I wrote one song that I wrote loads, but there was one that I really liked, and I recorded it. And it was at the time when you would just upload everything to SoundCloud, like you would just put everything up there.
That.
And I have like 40 covers up on SoundCloud. Like, they're so bad. This is like back, really like my voice is like really squeaky and high, and there's no control at all. I thought I was amazing.
Yeah.
I would then post the SoundCloud link onto Twitter, and it would get like 100 likes and like a couple of retweets, and I would be like, oh, I'm so good. And then I listened back to them when I was in college, and I was like, how are these still on the internet? Why have I left these here? Sure, I don't know how to get back into those accounts, so they're there forever, and they'll stay where they are.
YouTube, my old YouTube account, actually, you know, when everyone changed to Gmail and Google happened and all of that, like, I think I had a Hotmail account to sign into it. I couldn't get back into it.
Yeah, I was exact same.
There forever.
Yeah. But I put up one of my originals. It was called Breaking, and it was about a breakup that I don't even think I had a breakup. Like, I think it was, I fancied a boy and he didn't like me back. And I was like, proper, the words were so devastating, but they also made no sense. Like, the words were, you came and went, you left so fast. And I was like, what? Where was he, and why did you leave? Like, but I ended up getting asked to play at, there was in the boys' school, they were doing a big thing, and it was the cycle for suicide that was going on. So it was to raise money to raise awareness as well. And they asked a few people to perform at it, and so I actually sang my original then. And that was my first experience. I was 15. So that was my first experience of like playing an original. There was all my class, a load of people from my school were there. All the boys' school was there. So it was like, it was quite a big deal. I'd say there was about 300 people in like the study hall. Wow. And it was really, really, I think that made took a turn in my head for I wasn't just into musical theatre anymore. I started kind of veering towards that, and I actually started gigging around Waterford. I was like 16, 17, way too young to be in the pubs, and they would do open mics, and there was a place called the Thirsty Scholar, and you'd book yourself in for a 15-minute slot. And so I did that it was called Thirsty Thursdays. And so I'd go in, and all these like bands who were just, starting out, we were all kind of the same age, 16, 17. They'd come in and they'd be playing for ages, these big like rock songs. And we were all young, so they were quite messy and they weren't great. And then I'd go up with my little piano and start playing all these like really sad songs. And at first, like people were like, oh, should you really be doing that? Should you try to do something a bit more upbeat? But looking around, and like everyone was actually listening, like the bar would go silent. And that was kind of my first experience of, I want this feeling forever. Yeah. I want this feeling of everyone actually listening to me and hearing what I have to say. And I think that's kind of where, instead of going to a musical theatre college, I decided to kind of go towards the pop degree.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So I was wondering kind of what made you do pop as opposed to musical theatre.
Yeah,
did manage to kind of intertwine.
Yeah, I managed to make them both. And even with my masters, I was kind of, I'm doing the masters in performance and specializing in the voice, but most people, it's on the pop stream, so most people are doing pop gigs, rock gigs, that kind of stuff. And I was like, can I specialize in musical theatre? Like, can I please? So I'm doing an MA in performance, specializing in musical theatre singing.
Wow. So, okay. That's cool.
I think I made that name up. Like, I don't even think it's real. I think I've made it up, but that's what my MA is. And and so for my 3 performances, like my first one is going to be the golden era, so it's pre-1960 musical theatre. So it was just something really interesting. Wow. Something I'd never looked at before, completely out of my comfort zone. And then my next one will be 1960 to kind of 1990. And then my last one is going to be contemporary modern musical theatre. So for me, picking something so interesting for my MA, like it's not just 3 musical theatre concerts or 3 pop concerts. I'm getting to actually like figure out everything I need to know about musical theatre that I never knew before, and hopefully take all of this information with me over to London. That's kind of
where you want to go.
Yeah.
You want to go to like West End?
Yeah. So I've kept my options quite open with regards to pop music and musical theatre and even teaching. So just even getting the teaching experience that I've been doing for the past 3 years in Centre Stage School Mallow, and I've been privately teaching since I was 15, guitar, ukulele and voice. So just having that, if I go over to London, at least I could still teach and kind of support myself that way, and maybe go to auditions, also maybe meet producers and put out some original music, because I know that's where we started there a few minutes ago. I'm so bad for going off on tangents. No, you're grand.
I was going to bring it back. I want to hear like what your plans are for your own original music. Yeah. Because I know I think you had you said it was in your bio that you were hoping to release a single during the year. Yeah. So last year, during this, like the first lockdown, it was second semester, 4th year for me, and having to move online for my final semester should have been a really stressful thing. It actually worked out so well for me. I got to move home and have actual like place to like have some quiet, but it also brought me back to where everything started, and I was able to kind of reconnect with who I was, and that really helped me start writing music again. I'd kind of been struggling to I'd written a few songs in college, but I'd started to really struggle with inspiration and kind of focusing my thoughts. And I wrote a couple of songs in that semester, and I got to work really closely with my lecturer, Curtis Auditorium. Oh yeah.
He's fab. Absolutely love him.
So lovely as well.
I know, he's so kind. And he's the first person that I actually let tear my songs apart and help me put them back together.
Ooh,
I was so protective of all my originals, like since I started writing them. I would never, if someone was like, you should maybe change that word, change that line, I literally would start crying, and then I'd never play the song again.
Yeah.
I could
We've all
not
been
take the
there.
criticism. Yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't take it at all. And with Chris, even first semester, I couldn't let him criticize me. I just couldn't. And I think being home and even it just being online, I felt less vulnerable, I think. And I was able to, the class was smaller because there was only like ever 2 people would ever go to the class for some reason. And it was me and one other guy, and he was so kind as well. So we were able to really tear the songs apart. And he was like, why have you said that line? Or why did you say that word? And wouldn't it make more sense to say this? And what if you took out that line of the bridge and had an uneven like bar because the word is adding too much and it's in the wrong place? And hearing that, you're like, oh my God, my song's bad. He hates it. It's terrible. But I actually was like, okay, no, I'm going to just take what he says, try it. And if I don't like it, I don't have to go with it, but at least I've tried it. And a lot of the stuff he said, I actually really agreed with, and it kind of helped me really focus. So I think for one of our projects for that module, we had to make an EPK, so an electronic press kit.
Brilliant.
And
So
we had to make,
to have that.
Yeah, so we had to make a fake EP release and a fake website and everything for it. And just making the fake EP, I was like, this could actually be a real one. This is actually, I wouldn't mind putting this out to the world. And I made cover art for all the singles, and I made the EP cover. I had the back, I had like the track list, and I had the press release for the different songs, and I had a fake calendar of gigs that were going to be happening and everything. And I was like, this is literally, I could do this.
Yeah.
So we had to do the same kind of thing again for professional studies. It's Chris again, this term in my master's. And this time with the EPK and with the website, I was like, I'm going to make this as if I'm going to put this out there right now. And I revisited all the songs, and I'm really happy with them. So I've got 5 songs, and the EP, I don't know, I feel like I don't know if I should say what it's called, just in case it doesn't come out for ages or I just back out of it or something.
No, like, yeah, you can keep it a secret.
But it's
or
basically...
Or you can say it, and then you have to do it.
Then I have to do it. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm going to hold myself a bit of accountability there. But yeah, so I suppose like the EP, this is all a made up thing that has kind of became real. But it was called Tears of a Fool. And so I have this picture, and I had like glitter. I did a photo shoot with my friend. She's a photographer, and she was just wanting to do a shoot. And we put glitter tears like coming down my face. And I was like kind of like tears of a clown, tears of a fool kind of a thing. And I was like, that's kind of cool. Kind of took that. And then the songs, it's like a person's journey from like a breakup or something happening. And as you move to this big ending, and the last song is called Moving On. And it's like the journey. And even for me, like obviously it is my journey. It's something that I went through, and each song, it carries like its own color, or it carries its own, every song stands on its own. And for me to put that out there, I would have felt really vulnerable before, but I think now it's like time to leave those songs go. And even moving on, it's like it's time for me to move on from that, put that out there so I can move on to the next thing. Because otherwise, if I don't do it, I'll be sitting on them for another 5 years, and then the time will pass and I won't be able to ever put them out there.
Do you know what? I would say just do it, because you, even if you hate the songs after you release them, you learn so much from just putting them out in the world, and you'll have much clearer vision of what you want your next one to be.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it has like all the different elements that I think make up like who I am. And so it has the kind of the pop kind of fun stuff, and then it kind of has the bit more putting everything out there, like vulnerability, that I suppose is one thing. And it kind of delves into topics even like anxiety and things like that, which is something that I've really struggled with for a lot of my life. So I think actually going ahead and putting out this EP, it's going to help me in ways that I probably wouldn't have been able to do it 2 years ago. But now I feel like I'm in a position that putting this out there and feeling other people judging me it's not going to be so harsh. I remember you sent that survey the other day, and I was filling it out, and I actually like have been thinking about it ever since. Like I've been thinking about it a lot, because it's just like I would think I'm kind of half and half introvert extrovert. I wouldn't think I'm completely one or the other, but filling it out and being like it, I think as a musician and as a performer and a singer, often you don't have a piano or a guitar to hide behind. It's just you standing out front and center, and you kind of have to work the crowd, and that can be really, really like stressful. And it definitely caused me a lot of anxiety when I was gigging. I actually stopped gigging just before this whole pandemic happened. I actually didn't want to do it anymore. My voice was going every single weekend, so I couldn't sing during the week for college, and then just having to like, I would be downing a pint of hot water before every single gig to try get through it, and like taking breaks in the middle just to try get it back somewhere. And so I kind of went on a no gigging voice rest kind of thing just to get through my final year. And I think just doing that actually gave me such an insight into what was actually wrong with my voice, and it was actually more stress induced than anything. And I think that's such a common thing that we don't talk about as singers, that our voice is our instrument, and being stressed or not getting enough sleep or not getting enough water really, really does have such an effect on you. And I did that vocal health first aid course in January, and it was so interesting to find out, because I see a lot of my bad technique that I would have had before in students, and now I can see it and go, no, okay, let's change this, because I did it and it's not good for you, and it's going to end up causing issues down the line. But actually hearing someone tell you this is a better way to go about it, or validating my thoughts on like not getting sleep or stress actually causing this, because a lot of the time like you'll go to the doctor and they're like, it's just made up in your head, you're fine. And I was getting chest infections all the time, and I just couldn't sing anymore. And when you're a singer and you can't sing, it just there's no words for how you feel. You just feel absolutely useless.
Yeah,
and
that's such a good word. I was going to say devastated, but I think useless is
like
a better word.
Yeah, like your job, gigging, college, teaching, singing, like even teaching was hurting my voice. Just singing the couple of bits in class was actually hurting. And when that happens, you feel devastated, you feel useless. That's kind of another point where I was like, okay, well, clearly this isn't going to work out. How am I going to be a professional singer or professional performer if I can't even keep my voice when I'm in college? How am I supposed to continue this as a career? But just getting in touch with everything, and that course really, really helped to kind of solidify any thoughts I have and help me further with what I need to do to kind of maintain it and identify when there's an actual issue or when it's just tired or things like that. So it was incredible. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm going to do it myself, but I'm going to wait for the summer just when I have a bit more time, because I just finished.
I recommend you do, yeah.
Yeah, because I just finished the vocalogy and practice pathway, which is
lovely.
I've been doing for the last 6 months. And like, I mean, it's been fine for the most part, but I just want to focus on college for the next couple of months, try and get through it before I.
Yeah, I think that was one thing about it, is that I just saw it one day and I was like, oh, I'll sign up for this, not realizing how intense it was going to be. You have 30 days to complete it. Now there's only about 9 hours of videos, but you're pausing the video to write stuff down because you don't want to miss anything. And then suddenly that 20-minute video has taken you an hour and a half to watch, because you're literally there writing everything down.
Yeah, because you're taking it all in as well and thinking about it.
And thinking and having to like draw your own little lines off of it and say, oh, this, because you're getting ideas from it yourself. And so I did it at a time when I probably shouldn't have. I was quite busy, but I'm glad I did it then and not now. If I would definitely wait until you have a bit more time. But it was, I think every singing teacher, every vocal coach, even just singers in general, anyone who uses their voice should definitely do it.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's brilliant that they're offering it, because there's plenty of really good singing teachers out there that don't know anything about that side of things, but I think like everyone should have a base foundation of kind of diagnosis and a little bit of mental health and that kind of thing. So, but I'm just looking at the time, and I just remembered as you were talking that you have an essay to finish.
Yes, I do.
I chatted all night, but I don't want to take too much more of your time. So what we have to look forward to is your EP that you're going to release this year.
Hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah. By the way, I am thinking of doing the same thing. So
amazing.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm going to do an EP. I think I'm just going to release one song, like a single.
See, that's kind of, I think I'm going to release a single to test the waters.
Yeah.
And if it goes well, like January 2022, I think is when, that's kind of my goal. I'm like, if I'm going to do it, that's when it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to do. And like, I know a lot of the stuff I've been reading lately about releases, it seems that like the whole album thing doesn't really work anymore. People are not really listening to albums because of Spotify. They're listening to more like playlists and so maybe singles is the way to go. And it's more manageable as well.
100%, yeah. I would love to like do this for you. I want to ask you all these questions.
What do you want to know? Oh God, maybe sometime.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'll stop recording here now.